Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. It is 2021. We made it through the trials and tribulations of 2020. It was a roller coaster. And if you're hearing the sound of my voice and seeing this video, congratulations, you survived, you made it. And now is a time to pivot and shift and embark on those journeys and establish and achieve those goals that we've set for ourselves. Hopefully we set some reasonable goals for ourselves that we can, in fact, accomplish and monitor and make sure that we achieve the amount and level of success that we know that we can all reach. So it is so glad, such a good opportunity to be back with you. I'm so glad to be here with you. We're starting off to we got a little bit of a rocky start. The first week of 2021 is kind of showing us some things, but we're going to make it through just like we made it through before. So having started off with that, I want to get to our super producer. And first of all, Happy New Year to you, super producer. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. People, this is WDHR Radio Broadcasting. I am your host here, the super producer with the Vanguard Fitness Hour. Of course, we got Will Smith in the back, y'all. You know, definitely freaking it. This is 2021, definitely. The redhead man is gone.
Is that red or is that orange? I could tell. What is that?
I don't know if it's red, if it's orange. I don't know, if it's just, he trying to cover up, bro. At the end of the day, y'all, it's 2021. We must say Happy New Year's to everyone. We're going to let Mario get into this. From WDHR Radio, Digital Broadcasting Network, we wish you a very happy New Year. And the first show of the year, the Vanguard Fitness Hour. Let's make it happen, y'all. Take it away, Mario.
All right, first show and looking to get off to a great start. So glad to have each and every one of you with us. 2021 is going to reveal and share with you a lot of progressive innovations that we're looking to make, not just in this program, but in the fitness industry as well. And I'm glad to have you all along for the ride for that. If you happen to have encountered any stumbling blocks or any obstacles to achieving your ultimate level of fitness, that's all in the past. It's time to move forward now. It's time to achieve the things that you know you can achieve, the things that you need to achieve. And I'm going to be here right with you every step of the way. So with that being said, let's get going, because as always, we've got 20 pounds of fitness information, motivation, and inspiration to stuff into a 10-pound bag. So it's time to get going. And I want to start off with a brief update from our super producer. Now, as most of you, our regular listeners, already well know, super producer embarked on a fitness journey of his own. So I created a workout regimen for him. He wanted to make some changes, some modifications to his physiological structure, becoming more fit and healthy. And I just want to find out how that is going for you. Like I said, we're already on the new year. Just wanted to get the low down and dirty from you. What are you experiencing? Any setbacks, any successes, anything that you want to share with the audience? Because like them, I'm eager to hear myself. I refrained from reaching out to you earlier because I wanted to be as surprised as everyone else. So I didn't want to have any advance notice. I just want to hear how things are going.
Well, things are going great, definitely great. As you know, we were out there in Cancun, Mexico, so that was a really, wonderful thing to go through. Basically, during being in Cancun,
You had to bring that up, right?
Yeah, I did have to bring that up. I'm going to bring that up. We're going to go back. I'm bringing that up. Okay.
Just get a big piece of luggage that can fit a guy that weighs about 195 pounds in. I'm just saying.
I'm not doing all that. You got to find your own way there, bro. No, but the workout is coming along well. What I've started doing is, like at night, you wake up at night, bathroom or whatever. And so, I've been hitting the push-ups, basically. And I'll get in like 10, 15 push-ups before I get back into bed and go to sleep. So I've found doing that kind of is, really cool. It's not like, oh, okay, I've got to put the 20 minutes in and boom. It's like, oh, let me just go ahead and do these real quick.
Yeah.
And so it's just finding your groove and your rhythm, because I still haven't found that, because, I'm so busy, and that's not really an excuse, people. I mean, but I'm saying, the hustle's got to be hustled, baby.
Yeah.
It has to be hustled. But at the same time, I'm pretty good. I would say about maybe three pounds.
Okay.
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 I remember you said, it's going to take its time,
Absolutely.
because if I was ready to go into that whole super diet.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
But definitely I feel a lot better. Still, and I think that's something that Mario, me and you will probably be working with once I speak with my doctor in regards to the sciatica. Still a little bit right there, and I'm thinking, and baby has told me, that it's just still a pressure on that disc back there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll probably be working people with Mario in regards to physical therapy on that, as well as, exercising. But overall, feeling definitely good. Great support, from the family, especially, the guru of music, the 50% owner. The one that, he's basically, I ain't gonna say 50%, she run the show, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm glad you cleaned that up.
Yeah, I'm cleaning it up pretty much. I'll just sit here and do what I do. That's it.
And just remember, you're king of the castle until she gets home.
Exactly. So when she ain't home, I just have a blast. But definitely great support from her. But definitely looking good. It's looking good. So I appreciate it. Me and Mario probably will be getting back into the actual where he can see my progress via the information that he has sent me. So we'll be doing that probably starting next week. But otherwise than that, I can stick my chest out a little bit, Hey, y'all see I got the Cedric the Entertainer look going on. so everything is looking good.
Okay.
Secondly, people, real quick, Mario, we do
Yes.
want to apologize for the delay, in the first year show and stuff. We were a little bit delayed there. So we want to send a good apologies out to you all on that as well. Just, working the kinks out and things of that nature. So we're going to turn it back over to Mario. I am going to move out of the way. Here we go.
Right. Well, listen, I appreciate that feedback, and I find it, I think it's very valuable that you share that real life experience of what you're going through, because there's I'm sure a lot of people that are going to be watching this program that are going through the same things. And I happen to be jotting down some notes as you were talking, and I think they were very critical. The first one, you just kind of casually mentioned, I haven't hit my stride yet. I'm not quite in that groove. And that's to be expected. From one of the previous broadcasts, I mentioned about setting reasonable goals and establishing healthy habits, and that on average, it's going to take about 66 days before those actions develop into a habit. So you do need to be patient with that, but it's going to come. But you're going to hit that stride. You're going to be in that groove. You're going to get to a point where you don't even feel right going to bed until you've actually completed your workout. And that goes just for working out and exercising, but basically anything that you're looking to develop into a healthy change in your life. So that's always important to know. So I'm glad you mentioned that. You also mentioned that the fact that you were, I believe you said 3 pounds down. And to some people might say, oh, 3 pounds, what's that? 3 pounds down is 3 pounds less than you were when you started. You have lost 3 pounds. That should be celebrated. That's an accomplishment.
Exactly.
Okay? So
anybody
you're
out
going
there
in
hating on me, don't worry about it, because it's going to be another 3 pounds. I'm proud of my 3 pounds now.
Absolutely. So in that time frame, you lost 3 pounds. So and I'm going to get into this as we go into our topic today. But once you've achieved that goal, now it's time to set another one. So you lost 3 pounds in between the time that you started and now. So now maybe the next goal will be, maybe you want to drop 5 pounds or 4 pounds, whatever the case might be. So it's important to break those goals down into little chunks, and you're doing it. So you should celebrate that 3 pounds. That 3 pounds means something. And like I said, the numbers are going in the right direction. So keep it up. It's just like a diabetic. If their A1C levels are at a 14 and now they're at a 12, the numbers it's still high, but those numbers are starting to go down, and that's important. That should be celebrated. You mentioned that you were, and I was really glad when you mentioned this. You said you were all prepared to go on a super diet. Which basically I think what you were saying is, an extreme kind of a change in terms of your nutritional habits and eating habits and that sort of thing. And that's typically not the way to go, because a lot of those extreme diets that people embark on, they're either something that's not going to be sustainable, something that's not particularly healthy, and something that's not going to give you the results that you're looking for. So again, what I profess with all my clients, with all my patients, incremental changes. So, you're not going off the deep end and making these drastic adjustments to your eating habits. It's just minor things, lifestyle changes. So you want to use something that you're going to be able to go through over an extended period of time. So that's the key for that. And then finally, you mentioned the discomfort that you're experiencing, in particular sciatic nerve pain, which is very common. So you've identified the source of the problem, and that's the first step. There are a ton of things that can be done to do that, to relieve that pressure on that sciatic nerve. A lot of that entails simple adjustments. So you mentioned chiropractic care, and I happen to partner with a couple of chiropractors. So with those adjustments that are made, basically it's a reel of the spine. In order to relieve pressure off of that sciatic nerve. Once that is accomplished, and you experience a certain degree of improvement, that's when I come in and I perform functional therapeutic activities, exercise rehab, that sort of thing, to kind of take you to that next level, to get you to a point where you're functioning at an optimal level. So that's those are some key points that you brought up, and I'm glad you did. So thank you very much for sharing. So I wanted to get into, since we had that update, I wanted to get in our first couple topics, and that is fitness in the news. Now, the interesting thing about that is there's always something new that's going on, and it's a challenge just to keep updated and to find out, well, there's all these this great information that's floating out there. What am I going to share with the audience? So I decided to share with you an article that just came across my desk yesterday. And as a gym owner, this one really strikes to the core, but I did feel it was important to share with you. The title of this article, and I'm going to share with you some excerpts from that article. The title is "Gyms Aren't Coming Back. Here's How You'll Work Out in the Future." This is the name of that article. So and most of you are probably familiar with the fact that with this ongoing pandemic, things have changed drastically across numerous industries. The fitness industry being a primary example of that. We were actually hit, one of the first industries to be hit. So back in March of last year, when things started to develop into what eventually became a full-blown pandemic, gyms were one of the first businesses or industries to actually have to shut down. And the industry has not recovered from that. And it's not just the small independents, it's the big boys as well. If you drive past a lot of gyms right now, the big box gyms, you can see that those parking lots are halfway full, quarter full, nothing even close to what it used to look like. So, and why is that? Well, people are not comfortable going back to gyms. So that's what this article is all about and what I want to share with you. So let me just get into some highlights of this article. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but just some key points. Some 59% of Americans don't plan to return to a physical gym after the pandemic. What will fitness look like then? That goes on to say, now this is a survey that was conducted by a very reputable source, the New Consumer and Coefficient. A survey of 3,500 Americans found that 76% of people have tried working out at home during this pandemic. And crucially, 66% prefer it. So they're surveying these people that normally go to fitness facilities, gyms, and that sort of thing. And out of that 76% of people that actually started working out at home, 66 prefer. Among millennials, the number is even higher. 82% made the switch, and 81% like it more than going to a gym. So habits and trends are shifting. We're seeing a monumental change in the fitness industry. Let me go on. TD Ameritrade, which is, again, another very reputable source, found that 59% of Americans don't plan to return to their gym after this pandemic. And analysts and industry insiders believe that gyms and fitness studios, as we know them, could become a thing of the past. This is this is a devastating blow to an industry that represents more than 40,000 health and fitness centers and employs 2 million trainers and other personnel. Now, not just trainers, you've got other staff, cleaning staff and front desk people and that sort of thing also. Worldwide industry revenue for the fitness industry topped $96.7 billion in 2019. With 184 million members, gym members, globally belonging to 210,000 health clubs. So those are some big numbers. But when COVID-19 struck, gyms were hit particularly hard. Small enclosed spaces full of, now this is getting down to the reasoning, the perception. Small enclosed spaces full of people breathing heavily and dripping sweat quickly became unappealing, let alone unsafe. We all learned what a petri dish gyms were to begin with, says Franklin Isaacson, co-founder of Coefficient Capital. So, as a gym owner, my goal was to always make sure that my facility was as clean as possible, wiping down surfaces and equipment and that sort of thing with disinfectant. But admittedly, it's an ongoing thing. I mean, you've got to really stay on top of this, because even before the pandemic, people would use equipment and just walk away and not give a second thought to it. So you really have to keep up on cleanliness. So now that's been taken to another level. And when you've got a smaller enclosed space, for example, my facility is 2,822 square feet. 3,822 square feet. So relatively small space. So in order to, ventilation is key, right? So if you got a smaller space, you've really got to make ventilation a key factor in how you're able to provide a service to your members. So how do you do that when you got a small space? Well, if you're an independent gym owner, to upgrade completely and renovate and install a brand new ventilation system is extremely costly. So how many small gym owners are going to be able to handle that? Maybe the big boxes can do it, but the small independents, they're struggling right now. And that's a big reason why. So the article goes on. Brad Olson, this guy is with Peloton, right? And you're familiar with that equipment, the bikes that have the video screens and the link so that you can have training in that. Believes that the shift to at-home fitness is comparable to how the gaming industry evolved. Now, if you remember, if you wanted to play video games at one time, you went to an arcade. Now, some of you might be a little young to remember that, but at one point there was a thing called arcades, and a lot of times you'd find them in shopping malls, and they had games like, and I'm going real old school, stuff like Asteroids and Space Invaders, and you had games like that, right? So it states, we once played video games in malls. But then people discovered they could play at home and experience the same connection. Now everyone is asking for an Xbox or a PS5 for Christmas, he said. The same is happening for fitness. More people are experiencing and enjoying those at-home workouts. As a result, fitness equipment designed for home use is at a premium, and that's why you're seeing these incredibly exorbitant and elevated prices in fitness equipment. That's why you would go to the fitness section of even a store like a large department store, not just a sporting goods store, and the shelves will be empty. And that's because people are into this now. And, there's an option to what they perceive to be risking their own health and safety by going to a public space like a gym. Well, I'm going to do it at home. I'll just buy the equipment that I need. I'll make that investment. So that's a big part of that. And this is not something that looks like it's going to be going away soon. A couple more points in this article. Even if gyms do bounce back after this crisis, the data suggests that a portion of their members won't return. Chains like 24-Hour Fitness, Gold's Gym, and the owner of New York sports clubs have already filed for bankruptcy and collectively laid off hundreds of employees. But 80% of the more than 40,000 clubs in the U.S. are small businesses. Many have already closed their operations. And I know this for a fact. I've got at least 4 friends that are gym owners that have had to shut their doors. It's just impossible to function at 25% capacity due to governmental restrictions and still be able to remain profitable. And then shutting down every other cardio machine or space enough individuals out when you're already operating in a small space. Again, maybe a big gym can survive with that because they got the corporate dollars behind them and they've got the square footage that's available to them also, but not so much with the smaller ones. Ultimately, if gyms want to have a fighting chance in the post-pandemic landscape, they'll have to innovate in profound ways. I couldn't agree more. It's about that experience. And it's about, more than anything, making sure that individuals feel safe when they do, or if they do, decide to set foot in that gym. If not, gym owners and the fitness industry as a whole has to realize that this is something that's a new way of life. It's a lot like how the world changed after 9/11. There are things that we just will never go back to just because of what happened. So the same kind of shift is something that we're seeing right now within the fitness industry. So my question to you, and I'd love some feedback, and you can respond on my Facebook page if you like. There's a community section in there. Just give me some feedback. I'd like to hear, what are your thoughts about exercising and working out in a gym setting now that we're in the middle of this pandemic, or even post-pandemic, after things have started to die down and things have gone back to a bit more normalcy. Now, I'm not going to say things are going to be back to where they were, because I doubt they ever will. But are you interested in going back to a gym? Is that something that is intriguing to you? Are you already going back to at a gym and utilizing that gym membership? I'm real curious to know about that. So I found that article very interesting. So that's a little heavier. I wanted to get into something a little lighter right now and change the topic up a bit, and that is celebrity fitness news. And this article has to do with someone that I have always been a big fan of, and that is Halle Berry. So the article that I found, Halle Berry stuns fans with intimate photo after revealing 3 foods she never eats. Now, I found this, what drew me to the article, I'm not going to lie, was the photo that she posted up. Now, Halle Berry is, at this point, I think 54 years old. But this photo that she posted, she was on a beach somewhere, something like that. It is amazing. And you would never guess that this woman is 54 years old. Now, I know that, celebrities have the advantage of, time. I mean, if they're getting ready for a role, they've got nothing better to do than, well, maybe better to do, but what their goal is, what their job is to get in the right shape, the right conditioning for a particular role, whether that be maybe gaining weight or maybe having a certain look. Maybe I need to look a little more rugged, or whatever the case might be, or putting on muscle. So they've got the advantages of personal chefs, unlimited gym time, different dietitians are at their beck and call. So the average citizen doesn't have that available to them. So keep that in mind. So I don't want to set unrealistic expectations. But again, she looks fantastic. So the article goes on to say that the 50-year-old looks incredible, and I absolutely agree. So what does she do? Now, what I wanted to do is kind of whittle it down to the basics. What are the things that she has adopted into her own fitness regimen or dietary alterations that the average person can do? So I found these three things. I found it interesting to note that Halle Berry actually is a diabetic. I never knew that. It states that Halle was diagnosed with diabetes when she was just 22 years old, and as a result, transitioned onto a keto diet. Now, keto, I know it's very popular. Tons of people are talking about it. I'm actually going to do a show about it because of its popularity, I want to give you the lowdown on it, all the details, some of the drawbacks and pitfalls, because all these diets do have one. It's just a matter of how extreme they are and what they are. But I am going to do a show on that. She was a self-confessed sugar addict and had to make some big changes because under keto, you got to eliminate that, right? After her diagnosis, she said it was like a light switch flipped. Her health was on the line, and there's no bigger motivation, in my opinion, than your health being at risk. So she went cold turkey on her sugar-filled ways. It started. So obviously she eliminated or at least significantly reduced her intake of sugar. She said she got rid of the candy, the desserts, even the super sweet fruit. And people a lot of times will say fruit, it's not sugary. Well, there's a substance in fruit called fructose, which is the sugar that comes from different fruits. She now satisfies her sweet cravings with things like blueberries and raspberries, which have lower levels of fructose. Halle also avoids refined carbs, including bread, rice, and pasta. Now, the thing about that, breads, rice, and pasta, they're the cornerstone of many a meal. And the taste is just something that, it's kind of hard to get away from, and it's hard to break because when you're in the habit of consuming pastas and flours and breads and that sort of thing, it's tough to get away from that. So it takes a very disciplined approach. The third thing that she did was she ditched regular wine for low sugar wine. Okay. And that's simply in keeping with that keto diet. So these are some of the things that even a celebrity that is utilizing on a regular basis, the average person can engage in and adopt as well. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was interesting. And if you did want to see that article, you can just type in Halle Berry Fitness and I'm sure it will come right up. So that gets to the topic of the day that I wanted to share with you. Now, I had initially a whole different topic ready to go for today's show, but with the turning of the new year, we're now into 2021, I wanted to change it up. So what I wanted to share with you is the topic of New Year's resolutions, setting and adhering to your 2021 New Year's resolutions. Now, I know a lot of people make New Year's resolutions. You may be one of those individuals, or you may be someone that goes in the other direction and says, yeah, I'm not going to make any resolution because I know I'm not going to stick to it, or I just don't think that it's important, or whatever the case might be. But I'm talking to the people that have actually engaged in this, and they've set resolutions for themselves, changes that they want to make for the new year. Now, what's interesting to note is that when you're talking about New Year's resolutions, and there have been survey after survey after survey, 3 of the top 10 resolutions that are made by individuals have to do with health and wellness, fitness, right? One of them is to exercise more. The second that made the top 10 list is to lose weight. The third is to stop smoking. So all 3 of those directly have a connection with health, wellness, fitness, right? Now, there's some other ones, of course. There's things like finance and that sort of thing, relationship improvements. But I'm going to focus on those, the ones that have to deal with improving yourself physically, becoming more fit. When you're setting New Year's resolutions, now there's detailed factual information about this. Lots of studies have been conducted. By January 19th, it's found that over 80% of New Year's resolutions have been broken by January 19th. We're already at the 8th, so a lot of you folks probably got about 11 days left. You don't want to fall into that category. But it's important to note, well, why does that happen? Why do so many people fall short of their resolutions, particularly when they have to do with your own health, wellness, fitness? Okay, a way that's going to allow you to function and be at your best and live a long and fruitful and productive life. Why is it that, you can set a goal like that and not be able to achieve it and not even come close to achieving it? We're talking about 19 days on average that New Year's resolution will last. Well, I'm going to give you some feedback on that. And this is based off of personal information. Again, I've experienced it firsthand. Now, not so much the fitness goals, but other goals that I've set for myself. The problem that I experienced personally is that my goals were too lofty. And what does that mean? I'm talking about I would set these dramatic goals. I fell into that new year, new me kind of category. And I set these huge changes I was going to make. That was not going to happen because it was too broad. I had to whittle it down. And that's one of the primary strategies that you can use when you're setting realistic, measurable, achievable, and attainable fitness goals. The first thing I'm going to have you do is to have an in-depth, honest self-assessment of yourself. So what you want to do is to find out, well, first of all, what are the changes that I want to make? What do I want to implement as it pertains to health and fitness, right? Once you've decided what that is, I want you to find out, well, why am I doing it? So let's just take a very broad, general resolution. I want to lose weight. Well, first of all, I want you to find out, well, why do you want to lose weight? Is it because you're uncomfortable? Is it because the doctor has told you that you need to lose these pounds? Is it because of an embarrassing incident? Maybe you because of your weight, you're off balance and you fell and people saw it. Whatever the case might be, find out why it is that you want to lose this weight. Okay, maybe you want to fit into an outfit. Whatever the case might be, that's the first step. Then again, when it comes down to that honest assessment of yourself, I want you to scale your goals and see how they align with your own personality and your own habits. So if anything, I want you to use a 0 to 10 scale. So let's say you've got, your goal is to lose weight, or something even simpler. You want to get up every morning at, let's say, 4:30 in the morning, and you want to work out for 45 minutes. Okay? So I want you to take an assessment of yourself. How likely is it that you're going to be able to get up at 4:30 in the morning? Okay, if it's above a 7, fine, go with it. If you rate that as maybe I got a 50% chance of doing that, that's a 5. Break it down and shrink it. So what you want to do is, okay, 4:30 is not reasonable enough. Let me say 5:30. Okay, I'll get up at 5:30 and I'll start my workouts then. Now I'll ask that same question. So on a 0 to 10 scale, how likely are you to get up at 5:30? And that person might say, that's gone up a bit. That's a 6. Shrink it. 6 o'clock. Can I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning? Okay, well, I can do that. That's an easy 8. All right, let's go with that. The next thing is the time. Okay, 45 minutes. To someone that is in the habit of working out on a regular basis, that 45 minutes, piece of cake. If I'm someone that has never worked out before or hasn't worked out in a long time, that might be too lofty a goal. So let's shrink that down. So now we've got our time. I can get up at 6 o'clock, but 45 minutes might be a stretch. All right, well, can you do 30 minutes? All right, I'll give that about a 7. I got a 7% chance of doing that. Okay, let's roll with it. So now it's, as opposed to I'm going to get up at 4:30 and work out for 45 minutes, I'm going to now wake up at 6 o'clock and work out for a half an hour or 15 minutes or whatever the case might be. You've just taken that goal and you've broken it down so that it's more attainable and reasonable for you. If that goal is too lofty, what's going to happen is you may stick with it for, if you're lucky, maybe a week or two. But after that, what happens? Okay, because now that drudgery is there and it's setting in. And the death knell to goal is to, I'll do it a little later, or I'll put it off, or I'll just skip a day, I'll come back to it. It usually does not happen. So use that rating scale. Try that with any fitness goal that you have. The other thing is you want to make sure that goal is measurable. So let me go back to the example of I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. What does that mean? Okay, are you trying to lose 50 pounds? Are you trying to lose 70 pounds? Are you trying to lose 8 pounds? You want to dial it down, exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so set a number. That's the first part. How much weight do you want to lose? And then determine why is it that you want to lose that amount of weight? Did you just pull it out of thin air, or is it based on something a little more specific? So what's your reason to want to lose that amount of weight? Give it a time frame. Okay, if your goal is to lose, let's say 25 pounds, okay, well, when do I want to lose it by? And why do I want to lose it by that date? Is there an event that's coming up, a vacation or a party or a reunion or whatever the case might be? Is it the timeline that my physician has established for me? What is the reasoning for that? So once you've done those things, now you want to, again, remember we talked about shrinking a goal. All right, so I've got 60 pounds that I need to lose as part of my New Year's resolution. Okay, 60 is a big number. So what I would do is I'm going to break that down. My first goal is to lose 10 pounds. Okay, now I've set that goal. Now I'm going to spread it out. I want to lose 10 pounds by when? I want to give myself 3 months to do it. Okay, that's a fairly reasonable goal. I mean, it's still going to be challenging. It's not easy to drop that weight, especially if you're just starting out, but it's attainable. So you want to break that down into chunks. Once I've hit that 10-pound goal, then I want to set another one. Okay, this next series of months, this next 3 months, I want to lose 12. Or I want to lose 8, whatever the case might be. You'll start to develop a feel for it as the year goes on and as time progresses. So you want to make sure that those goals are broken down into reasonable bite-sized chunks, because what happens is, when you set that goal and it's too lofty and the progress is slow. That's why that conversation with Super Producer was so important. He mentioned 3 pounds. All right. A lot of people will get frustrated by that, but don't get frustrated because you're making progress. So that 3 pounds should be celebrated, but you want to make sure that you're keeping that going. You're still going in that same direction. As opposed to, Super Producer might have a goal of he wants to lose 25 pounds. Well, he's 3 pounds in now. So you want to, again, progress with that. Okay, reset your goals, reestablish, because when you set a goal that is too lofty, when you don't achieve it, like some people would say, I'm trying to lose 60 pounds. I've only lost 3 so far. This ain't working. I'm tired. I'm fed up. I've been doing this, and this, all the right thing. All I've dropped is 3 pounds. They get frustrated with it. They say, screw it. I'm not doing it anymore. Or they become lax in their routine. And then it becomes, I'm going to skip my workout today. I'll go back to it. And once you start doing that, it's kind of game over. All right. So you don't want to fall into that January 19th category of people that, again, have separated themselves or given up on their New Year's resolutions 19 days into the new year. So that's definitely something that you want to accomplish. When you're making your decisions for those New Year's resolutions, you need to have reinforcement. And that reinforcement could be a simple reminder. It could be a Post-it note that you put on your fridge. It could be an alarm that you set in your phone. So, for example, you're going to be working out at a certain time of day. Set the alarm on your phone to go off, an hour before you're supposed to schedule your workout. Just a little reminder. Have that Post-it note. Stick it on the fridge. Stick it on the bathroom mirror, whatever the case might be. That reinforcement can be something that's inanimate, like a note that I mentioned, or an alarm, or it could be something a little more significant. Maybe it can be a spouse or a relative or whatever the case might be that's going to come to you and say, all right, it's time for you to do your workout, or it's time for you to take this your protein shake, whatever the case might be. Okay. So again, those reinforcing strategies are really going to help you along the way. Accountability is key. That's why it's so valuable and beneficial when you've got a workout partner, or even if you just got someone that's, calling you on the phone to encourage you, because it can be discouraging, just like anything else. All right. Anything worthwhile, anything worth having is going to be challenging. And becoming more fit and becoming more healthy is definitely a worthwhile goal, but it's challenging and it doesn't come easy. Another thing I want you to do, don't be distracted by what you see in the media. When you see these miracle tablets and pills and products and waist trainer belts and all this sort of thing, a lot of that stuff, I mean, come on, it's promotional, it's marketing. It's designed to get you to look at the shiny object and to gravitate toward it and want to make an investment in it, so that so that the marketer can separate you from the dollars in your wallet or your purse. So a lot of what you see, it doesn't have to go through a lot of the screenings and approval processes. That's why back in the 80s, or the 90s, the shake weight was so popular. Most ridiculous piece of equipment ever designed, but it was popular and they were flying off the shelves and the manufacturer made a ton of dough off of it. Why? Because it was marketed well. And that's what it comes down to. So don't be fooled by that, because a lot of times when you make these investments, you make these purchases, once you've actually used them and you find out that it's not really yielding the results that you anticipated, your expectations did not meet the results, what happens? You become discouraged. And when you become discouraged, that's a huge red flag, and that's something that's usually going to signify the death of your goals. So make sure that you're reasonable about these sorts of things. You need to make whatever your goal is, it has to be a lifestyle change. And what I mean by lifestyle is something that's going to be consistent. You don't want to look at the quick fix. It's something that's going to take, it's going to be a process. I've mentioned this before, especially with individuals that I deal with as it pertains to weight loss. That weight didn't come on overnight, and it ain't going away overnight. So you have to be diligent and determined when you're setting those goals and you're trying to achieve them. So let me share with you just a few little tips that you can use. And again, these are just basic things, all right? They're just minor. But when it comes to health and fitness, they can build and become more significant. And that's the key for it. So even if it comes down to your workout goals, a big goal that a lot of people will set for a New Year's resolution is, when it comes to exercise and working out and that sort of thing, is the amount of frequency. So if you set a goal, it's the new year, 2021 just passed, horns are blowing and all that. It's a big celebration. New year, new me. This is one of the things I'm going to be doing. I'm going to start to work out, and I'm going to work out 5 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those are my workout days. Now, for some people, that might be very achievable. If you're an individual that is not used to working out on a regular basis, 5 days a week is very difficult to maintain. You might make it through that first week, or even the second week, but what happens afterwards? Because you're going to have something that's going to set in. You're going to have delayed onset muscle soreness, and that's basically just the fact that your body is responding to the exercise that you're now putting it through. So you're going to be sore, and it's very difficult to drive up or dig up the motivation to go back after you've taken that kind of a beating. All right, but it's to be expected. But when the goals are too lofty, 5 days a week, how reasonable is that? Go back to the assessment that I brought up. Put it on that 0 to 10 scale. How likely, based on your schedule, based on your activities, based on your responsibilities to others, how likely is it that you're going to be able to dedicate a 1-hour workout 5 days a week to yourself? If that number comes down, you know what, now that I think about it, maybe a 4. Okay, shrink it. All right, so how likely is it that I can work out 3 days out of the week? Okay, that's pretty close. Well, maybe it comes down to maybe that's a 6. Okay, it's below that, your likelihood. All right, so let's scale it back even more. How likely is it that you can work out or exercise once a week, 1 day a week? And you might say, oh, that's a piece of cake. I can do that. That's a 9. All right, let's go with it. Now, again, don't be discouraged, or don't let others influence you into thinking 1 day a week, that's nothing. It is something. Because if you're talking about an individual that has never worked out before, 0 workouts in 2020. Well, now 1 day a week, we're talking about 52 workouts during the year. You've gone from 0 to 52. That's an accomplishment. And you can always ramp that up. So maybe one weekend you're feeling pretty good. So in addition to that regular 1 workout, maybe I'll throw in another one. And maybe you get to that point, you build to the level where you're working out 3 times a week, and then maybe eventually 5. But again, incremental improvements and adjustments when you're setting these kinds of goals. You want to make sure that they're reasonable. So let me give you 6 that I kind of jotted down. Now, again, these are just bare bones, basic things. I'm kind of gearing these toward individuals that are maybe coming from a sedentary lifestyle, just getting started with exercise. I just want to give you some foundational basics. So the first one, get in the habit of standing up every hour. Now, I know that this can seem like a minuscule change, but it does make a difference. So a lot of us, if we're at work, if we're at home, if you think about it, just kind of go back and reflect, or maybe even kind of take an assessment of what you do when you go home tonight. How long do you actually spend in a seated position? It's not easy. I mean, it's difficult to achieve 1 hour of sitting time. Most programs, if you're watching a movie, what do most movies last? 2.5 hours maybe? Okay, and maybe you get up long enough to maybe get a drink or a snack from the fridge, but for the most part, you're in a seated position. It's real easy to go that amount of time without standing up. So just get in the habit of, at least once an hour, stand up, move a little bit, and then go back to what it is that you were doing. So that's a real simple thing that you can do. Number two, if you don't know how to cook, that's all right. There's recipes out there to do it. You can find things online, or you can make a purchase of a healthy eating cookbook or whatever. If you have someone in the house or that you're close to that does know how to cook, maybe they can show you. But get in the habit of cooking at least one meal each day. And that can be your breakfast, it can be preparing your lunch, it could be dinner. Because when we eat out away from home in a restaurant setting, or we're getting carry out, or whatever the case might be, you lose control. You lose control of the portion size. You lose control of the way that the food is prepared. You lose control of the ingredients that are there. So get in the habit of preparing at least one meal and make it a healthy meal, just one. Okay, and then go from there, because that's going to make a huge difference in terms of your dietary nutritional habits. You get to pick what that meal is consisting of, and you're going to make sure that you're going to select healthy food items to integrate into your dietary changes or your habits. Number three, cut your screen time by 10 minutes a day. Now, this, again, seems like a minor change, but get away from being in front of that screen. And I'm not just talking about television. I'm talking about phones. I'm talking about tablets. I'm talking about video games, whatever the case might be. Reduce that time by just 10 minutes, okay, and substitute that time for something positive that's going to benefit you. Okay, maybe a 10-minute walk. Or maybe if you got a flight of stairs in your house, maybe you can walk the stairs and then go back down again. Maybe it's time to take to have a healthy snack, whatever the case might be. But find something, read. Maybe it's a periodical or a book or something that's going to be beneficial to you, something that's on health or wellness, whatever the case might be. But take that time away and substitute it with something that's more positive and more beneficial. Easy to do, okay? But I want to see you do it. So that's number three. Number four, stretch. How often should you stretch? Every day. And it's just like when I work with my physical therapy patients, my exercise rehabilitation patients, what do I do with them? One of the first things when I'm working to develop functional mobility from an individual that may be coming back from an injury or has been dealing with a debilitating neurological condition, to get them back to optimal levels of health and strengthening and mobility and that sort of thing, stretching. And what I tell them, in order to get into that habit, I want you to make sure that you schedule it twice a day. And I try to keep it as simple as possible, because I know that during the day, if I say I want you to stretch it 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever the case might be, it's usually not going to happen because life gets in the way and you get busy and that sort of thing. So my recommendation, just like I share with all my patients, once in the morning, first thing out of bed, I mean, even before you brush your teeth and get into that bathroom, get out of bed and start to stretch. Now, there's a lot of different stretches that you can do for just about any part of the body. I'd be happy to share some of those with you when I give my contact information out. You can send me an email. You can contact me on Instagram or Facebook. I'd be happy to share with you some basic stretches, but first thing out of bed, and then once again before you go to bed. Easiest thing to remember, because it's at the beginning and the very end of the day. That's why I set it up that way when I work with patients. But get in the habit of doing some stretches to keep yourself mobile. And there is a very common saying in the fitness industry, particularly what I do when it comes to physical therapy, and that motto or that lesson is motion is lotion. And what does that mean? A lot of times, especially when you're older, in my age group, mobility becomes a little more challenging, a little more interesting, I'll say that. So when you first get out of bed, or you're going from a seated position after sitting for a little while, maybe the knees crack a little bit. Or maybe when you first get out of bed, it's like, oh, that back's a little stiff. You got to get moving. But once you're up and you're moving and you're doing some things, now you're starting to feel a little bit better, because now you're starting to increase blood flow. The joints have become more lubricated, and it's a little easier to get into those regular habits. So it's not as bad once you get started. Okay, but first thing out, yes, you're a little tough. You're kind of like that car that needs to warm up a little bit before you start to drive and hit the road. So keep that in mind. Have at least, here's tip number 5, have at least, one less glass of wine. Now, it doesn't have to be wine. If you're an alcohol drinker, this applies to you to all categories. It could be one less glass of wine. It could be one less beer. It could be one less shot of liquor, whatever the case might be. But get in the habit of reducing
a lot of women upset. You know that, right?
I know.
That you know how they feel with them kids in the house.
I know
they are going. They looking for Calgon and a glass of Chablis to take them away. Tell them people that.
I know,
all these women out here hunting us down.
I know, particularly when we're talking about, being in the middle of this pandemic, because I like to monitor a lot of these economic trends. Liquor sales have been way up. People are drinking a lot more because it's a coping mechanism. It's an escape. It's not a healthy escape, but it's a way to kind of separate yourself from what's going on. I mean, it's stressful to watch the news every day. I mean, think how stressed out a lot of people were just a couple of days ago. Okay, and watching what was going on at the nation's capital. I mean, that's stressful stuff. Every time you turn on the news, what's the first news story you hear? What are the COVID numbers? If you watch economic news sources, things like CNN or MSNBC, one of the first things you hear is about the economic state of the country right now, with the jobless claims and the stock values falling and that sort of thing. So all that stuff is stressful. A lot of people will turn to that glass of that bottle of beer or that glass of wine or whatever the case might be. Try to reduce it by just one less. Okay, so if you're in the habit of maybe at the end of the day, I like to have a couple glasses of wine, make it 1. Or maybe if you have on average 4 glasses of wine a week, make it 3. Okay, get in the habit of doing that, because alcohol, just because it's liquid doesn't mean that there's not sugar in there. All right, so you want to get in the habit of doing that. The last tip that I want to give you: drink 1 more glass of water a day. And again, it sounds very simple, but you would be amazed at how many people go through an entire day without drinking even a sip of water. I'm not talking about coffee. I'm not talking about tea. I'm not talking about Kool-Aid. I'm not talking about sports drinks. I'm talking about plain old water. Now, I don't care if it's water that comes out of your tap. Maybe you don't like the flavor of it or whatever the case might be, which is a little odd. I mean, I grew up, if I was thirsty and out playing, I drink water out of a garden hose, whatever the case. But maybe you don't like that. Maybe that's not you. It's got to be distilled water or spring water or purified water or whatever. Just get in the habit of drinking more water and start small. 1 glass will do it. Just your intake by 1 glass of water, 1 additional one. So these are just some basic little New Year's resolutions that you can set for yourself. Now, what did all of them have in common? They're easily achievable. They're significant in terms of their overall benefit and impact. You can build on them, because now that 1 glass of water can become 2 or 3 or 4. There are things that are measurable. So I can actually see what it is that I'm doing and how it's benefiting me in the long run. So that's what I want to share with you today. And again, it's 2021. We're into a brand new year. It's time to make some significant changes. And if this past year has taught us anything, it is that our health has to take precedence over anything else. Because who is receiving the blunt end of this pandemic and this virus? It's individuals that have compromised immune systems and other comorbidities, things like obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, things like that. We want to get those things under control, because I want each and every one of you to be in the best shape and be the healthiest and happiest that you can be, totally, because that way we're going to all benefit. All right, that's my goal, to share that message of health, wellness, and fitness. So we're going to wrap up. That's all we got time for today. But I do want you to make sure that you follow and continue to be to make that Vanguard motto a part of your everyday life, and that is to train hard, eat clean, and stay focused. All right. So signing out for today. Again, this is Mario Kuntz, Director of Operations for Vanguard Exercise Management. If you would like to get in contact with me, you can reach me through social media. And that is through Instagram. It's Vanguard, VANGUARD, GARD, MGT, followed by the number 1. You can reach me on Facebook at Vanguard Exercise Management. Just type that in. It'll come right up. You can send me an email at VANGUARD, MGT yahoo.com. I do respond to any and all messages. And in fact, that's one of the messages is the reason I picked today's topic, because people are asking me about New Year's resolutions. If you do want any more information, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to respond and give you all the information and tools that you need. So until next time, I will see you 1 week from today. We're going to have a brand new fitness topic, and we're going to be happy to hear you. And we're going to get more updates from Super Producer, because he is hitting it hard, and I know he is. So you can take it away, Super Producer. Thanks again.
Ain't nothing for me to say. It's time to go.
I like to always make sure we give that out, because I know you always like have a lot on your mind. But I appreciate all the audience and everyone that tuned in. Again, have a safe, happy, and healthy New Year.
Everybody be safe out there. Continue to mask up. Continue to mask up. This is the Vanguard Fitness Hour live on the Digital Radio Broadcast Network.